Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. So we're going to switch things up today and do things a little bit differently. Today we are going to combine my two favorite things. The first thing is baking, because that's why we're here. I love to bake. I love to cook. I love to bake. And so today we're going to be baking. The second thing that I absolutely love is true crime. I love listening to podcasts about true crime. I like to read about it. I like to watch shows and stuff about it. I don't know what the appeal is. I just really like it. It's fun. Yeah, so I'm gonna try a new series of videos, and I hope you guys like it. If you like true crime and baking, there's no reason not to like this. I'm going to bake something, and I'm going to tell you guys about a murder. And whatever the thing I'm baking is going to tie into the murder somehow, some way. Yeah. So I hope you guys like this. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, definitely let me know. Comment below. Let me know if you like this. Like the video. You can share it. I would super appreciate if anyone wants to share the video if you like it, or any of the other videos too. I'm not going to say no if you want to share it. That's good. Cool with me. So let's get talking about a murder. Today's bake is going to be strawberry shortcake, and you'll see how it ties into today's murder. Right? Are you guys ready? I'm ready. Let's do this. Strawberries are on their way out. Right, so the murder takes place in New South Wales, Australia. I didn't do the smart thing and find out exactly where that is, but I do know it's not a very good area. Let's start off with the people. There's three main people. I'm going to tell you about two of them. We have Donna Lee Casagrande. Let's see. She was born in 1970. Was the youngest of 9 kids. 9 kids. It's crazy. No, thank you. Got my one and closed up shop. Right. So she was the youngest of 9 kids. Her dad was a foreman in some metal factory. Her mom used to also work in industrial settings until she had an accident, ended up losing her hand or whole arm. I don't know. She lost her hand. That's what I wrote, so that's what we're gonna go with. So after that, her mother stayed at home, but there's a lot of reports of Donna growing up in a really abusive household. There's proof that her father used to, what I gathered, just physically abuse. The reports I read were just that she got abused. It didn't say whether it was physical or sexual. Donna dropped out in year 9. Year 9, you're about 14 or 15. So she worked a bunch of dead-end jobs like waitressing and gas stations and things like that. Things that didn't work out for her in the end. They didn't work out for really anyone. They're crappy jobs, low pay. You have to deal with customers. Customers are so rude to you. So when those jobs didn't work out for her, she turned to prostitution and drugs. Donna was married twice and had 2 kids, Joshua and Natalia. At least one of her husbands would beat her. There's record of him beating her senseless with a baseball bat. Sounds like a good one. he's a real keeper. I mean, drugs and prostitution kind of are a no-brainer for what kind of life she was living. For people that live through those and don't turn to drugs or prostitution, good for you. And people that do and then get out of it, good for you. We're all about encouraging, not putting down. Okay, so after, I need a bigger bowl. After the 2 failed marriages, Donna meets a fellow prostitute / drug addict. She's got a name. Let's Nicole Teresa Corsier McGinnis. So Donna and Nicole enter in a relationship which they were in a relationship about 3 years before the murder happened. So Nicole did come from a similar background to that of Donna, so not a good one. But they were in love and they wanted to stay sober. They were just having trouble doing it. So the next person is, I think that needs a little more. The next person in the story is John Lillicrap. I don't know how old John is. Anyways, so John moved to a suburb that was just west of Adelaide. Now, Adelaide is a really bad area in Australia. It's like a couple of years before John moves to Adelaide, he starts cross-dressing. And then John's a truck driver / pro wrestler and now a cross-dresser. We just want to squish some of these to help release the juices. So when John moves to Adelaide, he is welcomed with open arms by the community. He does some volunteering and meets a lot of people that all really love him and love him for who he is. And he feels so accepted that he decides to start living life as Joanne as opposed to John. And asks all of his friends to call him Joanne, and he lives his life as a woman. And everyone's completely accepting of it, and they just love him for love her for who she is. So for the rest of the story, I'm going to refer to John as Joanne, as she wanted, and use female pronouns. There's some articles that didn't do that, and I just thought that's not cool. That's how Joanne wanted to be remembered in life. Let's remember her the same way in death. But that's just what I think. All right. So Joanne opened her home to Donna and Nicole. Don't look in that drawer, it's really dirty. So Donna and Nicole move in with Joanne. Joanne has really high hopes of helping both of them get clean and on their feet and being the best people that they can be while being sober and not prostituting themselves. And then while he's trying to help the girls, his stuff started going missing. That sucks. You're trying to help out these people and I only say these people be trying to help out these girls, and they're taking advantage of it. We've been there. We've all been there, right? And all right. So her stuff starts going missing. Okay, so everything was hunky-dory in the house that they all shared. There was some rumors going around that Joanne was pimping out the girls. That hasn't been confirmed or anything. I don't know if it's true. It could have just been a tactic used by lawyers and stuff to ease sentencing. In the beginning of November 2001, the police receive word that Joanne was missing. Police also on November 9th received their version of 911, so I think it's like 000, call stating that someone in the house was dead. So the police don't waste any time, and they head straight over to the house with some forensic investigators, and they start seeing if there's any signs of any kind of murder or disturbance or anything of that nature. And they find human remains buried in the strawberry patch. The beloved strawberry patch. Just part of a body, not a whole thing. We'll get back to where everything is. So that's the 9th. On November 11th, Donna enters a police department on like the other side of Australia, and she asked to speak with investigators about a murder. So the two investigators bring her back into one of the interview rooms and hit record, and thankfully they did, because girl started telling everything. So Donna goes in halfway across Australia and tells the investigators everything from beginning to end and every part in the middle. Alright, so Donna begins to tell them about how Joanne, when the girls had moved into Joanne's house, she set up a bank account for the girls but didn't share the PIN number with them because she thought that would help them not be able to take the money so that they can save it for whatever they were saving the money for. And this way they couldn't go spend the money on drugs. So at some point, the girls didn't have access to the card, so they stole Joanne's camera, brought it to a pawn shop, and pawned it, obviously. Alright, so they pawned the camera. Joanne confronted Donna about it and was like, "Where's my camera?" And Donna eventually came clean and was like, "Listen, I took it to a pawn shop. I'm gonna, I'll replace it. It'll be fine." And then I'm not sure how, but Nicole came across a receipt from the pawn shop in Joanne's possession for the camera. So the girls started freaking out, and they thought that Joanne was going to turn them into the police for stealing and whatnot. And so they've been in and out of jail. They don't want to go back to jail. Donna and Nicole hatch a plan to get the money that Joanne has access to in the bank account, and they want to leave Adelaide for good. So Nicole cooked Joanne dinner and ended up spiking it with Rivotril, which is some epilepsy tablets. They are really powerful, according to the internet, really powerful muscle relaxants, and it causes drowsiness and impairs the memory. Eats the dinner, gets drowsy and whatnot. Donna confronts her about the money. They want the PIN number for the card so that they can withdraw the money and leave. And they threaten Joanne that if Joanne doesn't give them the PIN number, they're going to kill her. This goes on for quite a while. Joanne is not giving up that number at all. So Nicole grabs a knife and starts threatening her with a knife. So while she has the knife, that's why Nicole has the knife. That's key. Nicole has the knife. She also starts punching Joanne in the face, ends up breaking her nose, and is just beating this poor woman senseless for a PIN number so that they can leave. You know they were going to get drugs. They weren't clean yet. This is going to be drug money. It's not get out of town money. So finally, Joanne gives them the PIN. They decide, they're not sure if the PIN is right or not. So Donna ends up taking the card to the ATM while Nicole stays with Joanne until Donna gets back with the money. Well, Donna goes to the ATM. The PIN doesn't work. She gets back to the house, and when she gets back to the house, Joanne had a couple of superficial stab wounds. I mean, it's a stab wound, but these were just flesh wounds, nothing that would really even require medical attention. Nicole was so angry that the PIN didn't work and that Joanne screwed them over, shall I say. Let's see. So Nicole is really angry. She starts yelling at Joanne, and she stabs her through the heart and then in the stomach 4 times. Joanne's dead. Like, there's no coming back from that. She dead. So the girls, Joanne and Nicole, drag the body. Now, or not Joanne and Nicole and Donna. Joanne's a big girl. Like, as a man, she was a big man. As a girl, she's a bigger girl. So when I looked at pictures of Donna and Nicole, they are definitely on the smaller end. So these 2 tiny girls are having a lot of trouble dragging Joanne's body. So they drag her to the bathroom. They wrap her in a blanket. Not sure why they didn't just bring the blanket to her, because then after they're in the bathroom, wrap the body in a blanket, then they drag her out to the backyard. And they decide, Joanne's a truck driver. Let's get her body into the truck and we'll drive off and dispose of the body. Well, they couldn't get her body into the trunk. So they search around, find a toolbox, and in that toolbox there is an axe and a hacksaw. So they hack off his arms and legs and head, and then cut off, they put that in the truck. They're ready to go. Now these two little girls try to put the torso of Joanne's body in the truck so that they could dispose of that as well, but they're still having trouble lifting this up into a big truck. So they that was open. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna try that. All right. Anyway, so it's not gonna be mascarpone whipped cream. Oscar's gonna have to suck it up and deal with regular whipped cream. Anyways. So they take the knife that they killed, that Nicole killed Joanne with, and they slice off all the body fat. And then they take all the body fat and bury it in Joanne's beloved strawberry batch. They then take the truck and drive about 100 kilometers, which according to Google, 62 plus miles outside of the city, to go to a lake, and they were going to drop the body parts in the lake and be done with it. So it's November in Australia, which means it's summer for them. And they get to the lake and it's packed with people fishing. The whole lake is out of the question. So they take the legs and the knife that they killed Joanne with and bury it near the lake at a botanical garden. Then they take the torso and dump that on a beach. Didn't bury it, just dumped it on the beach. Then they go and take the head and arms. They take the head and arms, put them in a bucket, douse it with gasoline, and set it on fire. So both the women are charged with Joanne's murder. Nicole pleads guilty to murder. Donna also pleads guilty, but she pleads guilty to manslaughter. At the trial, Joanne's brother, Ron, read a victim statement to the whole court, including Donna and Nicole. He obviously had some harsh words for the girls. He said some really harsh things. During his statement, Nicole became really verbal and was yelling and screaming at him, and there was a verbal altercation between the two in the middle of the courtroom. So he finishes his statement, they go home. Donna is so affected by what Ron said in court, and Joanna's death. She was haunted by this, having nightmares and whatnot. That's why she went to the police. How she felt and what Ron said, she ended up slashing her wrist that night. She did live, but the judge saw how remorseful Donna was and noted that she wasn't the one who did any actual killing. She actually did nothing illegal until she started cutting up the body and disposing of it. So Nicole received an 18-year sentence where she was not eligible for parole. Donna received 12 years and she was eligible for parole after 10 years. These biscuits are more like scones and they're really good.